Plant and animal cells. A little fly and a giant redwood tree might not seem to have much in common, but they are both made up of tiny parts called cells. A cell is the basic building block of all living things. The cells of animals and plants are alike in some important ways and different in others. Discovering cells. People did not know about cells until the mid 1600s. At that time, scientists started to observe living things through microscopes. You learned in Lesson 3 that a microscope makes tiny things look much larger. In 1665, a scientist named Robert Hooke used a microscope to look at a thin slice of cork. Cork is a material that comes from a tree. Hooke saw that the cork was made up of tiny parts that looked like empty rooms. He called them cells. Today, we know that all organisms or living things are made up of cells. We also know that cells are not empty. Each cell contains many smaller parts. Each part has its own job to do. Cell parts. Plant and animal cells all have some of the same basic structures. Each cell is covered with a thin layer called a cell membrane. It protects the cell and controls what goes in and out. Inside the cell is a thick liquid called cytoplasm. The cytoplasm holds many other cell parts. Each part has a job to do. One very important part is the ball-shaped nucleus. The nucleus controls all the cell's activities. You can think of the nucleus as the boss of the cell. Comparing plant and animal cells. Plant cells have two structures you will not find in animal cells. A plant cell has a stiff covering called a cell wall. The cell wall protects the cell and gives it support. The cell wall is just outside the cell membrane. Inside the membrane, a plant cell has parts called chloroplasts. Chloroplasts use energy and sunlight to make food for the plant. The cell membrane of an animal cell has the same job as it does in plant cells. It allows materials to move in and out of a cell. It also protects the cell from harmful substances. As in plant cells, the nucleus controls all the cell's activities. As in plant cells, the nucleus is surrounded by cytoplasm. Animal cells do not have chloroplasts, so animals cannot make their own food. They must get their food by eating plants, other animals, or both. Plants' stiff cell wall give most plant cells a shape with straight sides. Animal cells do not have cell walls. Animal cells can take different shapes. These different cell shapes can help animal cells do different jobs. The pictures below show some different kinds of cells: liver cells, bone cells, muscle cells, fat cells. The different shapes of animal cells help animals move from one place to another. Plant cell walls hold them upright but do not let them move from place to place. In this lesson, you have learned about the main parts of plant and animal cells, but both kinds of cells contain many other parts. Some of these parts help the cell store and digest food. Some parts get rid of waste. Still other parts make chemicals that help keep the cell and the whole plant or animal alive. And some parts help the cell divide so a plant or animal can grow. Lesson review. Number 1. Which of these is not made of cells? A, a rock, B, an ant, C, moss, D, a piece of wood. Number 2. Which one is not part of an animal cell? A, cytoplasm, B, cell wall, C, cell membrane, D, nucleus. Number 3. Which of these statements is true? A, the nucleus gives the cell its shape. B, chloroplasts make food for animal cells. C, animal cells have many different shapes. D, a plant cell can become a blood cell. Number 4. What is one job of the cell membrane? A, to make food. B, to control what goes into and out of the cell. C, to move materials around inside the cell. D, to store water.